the room? Thank you. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Diane Shelley. I'm the Regional Administrator for HUD here in the great city of Chicago. I want to thank everyone for being present this morning. I want to thank the Christian Community Health Center for their hospitality. We are so honored today to have the Secretary, the 18th Secretary of the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, the Honorable Marcia L. Fudge, with us today.
Thank you very much.
Madam Secretary, welcome to our city.
Thank you very much.
The Secretary's impeccable years of public service throughout many branches of government, her dedication to providing services to the underserved, her commitment to the creation and preservation of decent, affordable, sustainable housing for all throughout this entire country, and her steadfastness in addressing homelessness is well known to us all. Therefore, without further ado, I would like to introduce and turn over the podium to my boss, to my secretary, the Honorable Marcia L. Fudge.
Thank you very much. Thank you all so much. There are some things I enjoy doing more than others. Certainly I enjoy serving people. That is what I do. That is my life's work. But I really enjoy giving money to people. So I am here today in the Windy City, a place where this is so needed but so deserved, to announce today that HUD is issuing to 46 communities more than $300 million in grants directed toward unsheltered homelessness and rural homelessness. And I'm in Chicago because Chicago received the largest grant of $60 million. So I want the mayor and our housing authority and, of course, all Chicago to come and stand with me as I give you this check for $60 million. We know that it is going to make a difference.
Thank you, thank you.
I want to say that it has been a long time coming when this country and the nation's mayors have come together to address something that we have ignored for far too long. When I got off the plane yesterday, I remarked on how cold it was. No one should be sleeping on the streets in this kind of weather. A nation that cannot take people off the street has failed. So I'm here to say thank you to all of you. Mayor, I'm going to turn the podium over to you because I don't have much more to say than $60 million. Mayor, thank you so much.
So this is one of those mic drop moments, right? and let me, I'm not going to go into all my prepared remarks. Sorry to my team. But I do want to say a couple of things and pick up where the Secretary left off. I think we all agree that none of God's children should be living on the street. It doesn't matter the climate. It doesn't matter the time of year. We have a responsibility to do everything we can to bring people into supportive housing. We just had the benefit of a little round table with some folks who have real lived experience. And it was beneficial, I think, for everybody in the room. The Secretary was there. I was there, Regional Administrator Shelley, my team from DFSS and Housing, Alderman Kappelman. And really, it was poignant to listen to the stories, but also for us to hear what we knew, but to hear it in a first-person account about how hard it is. And one man said, when you're fighting every single day to understand where you're going to lay your head at night, it makes you desperate. And the benefit that he has now received by being in housing is peace in his life. And I will never forget that. And neither should any of us. So let me just also say how grateful I am for Secretary Fudge for being here. She has been an amazing Secretary of HUD. Amazing. Has set a level of expertise, but empathy that the bar can never be lowered again. And I think part of that is because of course, who she is, the servant's heart that she brings to the job, but I'm also going to claim her because she's from my home state. And importantly, she's been a mayor. She's been on the front lines. She's never forgotten what it means when you have to make sure that every single day you are being responsive to the people. She's never left that need to be there on the street and serve the people who are most vulnerable and most needed. And she's brought that sensitivity and ethos to the job of being in the HUD secretary. And let me just tell you, ladies and gentlemen, all of us, all across America, rural, urban, suburban, are the beneficiaries of this woman's great work, great heart, and leading this important mission at HUD in one of the most important times.
Thank you so much.
You can clap for that. Let me also just say thank you, because the $60 million is going to help us extend the work and support the delegate agencies who are going to need it most. And we will never waver as a city from our commitment. I'm going to say that starting in fiscal year 22, for our city, we committed over $200 million to expand services and housing opportunities for individuals experiencing homelessness and housing instability. Report that. $200 million. And we did that, of course, with monies that we received from the federal government, but we matched those dollars with our own monies out of our corporate funds, because this is what our work should be about. The $200 million is part of the $1.2 billion investment that we made on righting historic wrongs, stitching back the social safety net, and making sure that we are serving our most vulnerable residents, meeting them where they are with resources and services. So there's a lot more that I could say, but when somebody comes and hands you a $60 million check, you say, thank you, thank you, thank you, and you go to work. So next up, we're going to hear from Carolyn Ross, who's the CEO and president of All Chicago. Madam.
All right, Carol.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Normally people would say, I don't know what to say. I have lots to say. First and foremost, thank you, Secretary. You chose the right place to come today. We're grateful for your presence and your support, and I hope that you see that the people that are here, from our city partners, our state partners, we just pick up the phone and call each other, and we're here. And that's how we do work in Chicago. So thank you so much for your presence. And Mayor, as busy as you are, we're watching you. We recognize the contributions that you have led in this city to end homelessness. And I thank you so much for choosing us today. This shows the importance of this issue. And it's really important. I definitely want to recognize Regional Administrator Shelley. She went out with us last week on the point in time count. She hung in there. We took her to some very interesting, not tourist spots, but living spots in Chicago. And she hung in there. And I really appreciate you and Deputy Administrator Cunningham for just your contributions to working with us. Very shortly, please know, on behalf of Chicago's continuum of care, I want to express our deepest gratitude for this support. This is an example of how we cannot do this work alone. We need partners who contribute, who do this work, and know what we need to do before us. The gratitude is that All Chicago is the lead for this system of care in Chicago, so it ain't our money. We're going to be utilizing it with our partners throughout the city, because there are many areas for us to touch. This is a pivotal moment for us. Funding will allow us to expand services, improve our system level coordination, and move more people into housing, because at the end of the day, that's what's most important to us. Secretary, I want you to know our plans are ambitious, require a high level of coordination and cooperation amongst many partners. And we know from experience that such coordinated efforts, it does lead to success. The Expedited Housing Initiative, in partnership with the city, coming up with an idea and them connecting resources, we housed 1,888 households in the last 2 years through coordination and partnership. So thank you for that. We will have more robust outreach teams with immediate access to triage or stabilization housing. And for some people of experience in unsheltered homelessness, this triage housing with enhanced support services is a crucial and necessary step toward permanent housing. I'm going to stop there and let you know that for the cold, it is cold, and we don't want people outside, but this issue lives with us year-round. And so it is so important and so proud to be able to share this with our partners today, to have such a wonderful gift beholden to the City of Chicago and to the Chicago Continuum of Care. Another very important speaker, I'm going to turn it over to Richard Rowe. He's the chairperson of our Lived Experience Commission with the Chicago Continuum of Care. Richard? Thank you.
Wow.
We saved the best for
That's you.
I see. So first of all, I want to say thank you, Madam Secretary. And I encourage you, you got support, everything you're doing about discrimination and then trying to reduce all these barriers. Thank you. And thank you for the money, of course.
That's right.
Thank you, Mayor. For all the work that you've done, and most importantly for me, the reentry person that that office that you created. Thank you. I'll make this brief. I'll just say, being as a person, first of all, my name is Richard Rowe. I am a person with lived experience, and I have been a recipient of many of the services around homelessness. Because of that, I've been fortunate enough to be gainfully employed for over a decade. But if it wasn't for these services and monies like this to help these services to house folk that are homeless or at risk of being homeless, I don't know where I would have been now. I just want to say, while we're in the spirit of racial, or in this time and space of racial equity and diversity, equity, inclusion, we've heard this ever since the murder of George Floyd. This is where we find ourselves now. So I just want to say that while we're doing this work, this is the opportunity to continue to address some of that structural racism that constantly is a barrier to folks getting housed. This is that opportunity, and I'm hopeful that we will put some of that money towards that, and to also increase the capacity of our Lived Experience Commission. With that, I will be turning this over to Ms. Tracy Scott, with the CEO of CHA. Thank you.
Good morning. This is a bright and cold day, but I'm very happy to be here. It warms my heart. Thank you again, Madam Secretary, for being here, for gracing us with your presence and your money. Oh, yes. Did I say that in the right order? Okay. And Mayor Lightfoot, as always, steadfast, unwavering. I keep trying to find the words for the level of support that you've provided when it comes to housing. You have really led the conversation about the need for affordable housing and then backed it up with action, and so we really appreciate that. And then to all of our other folks and partners in the continuum of care, including Carolyn Ross from All Chicago. Before I begin, I do just want to make a quick comment about that roundtable, because I too was moved by the idea of peace and dignity. And that's what I think we all have to be focused on. And I want to tell the folks who participated in that we do hear you, and that gives us the strength to move on and to follow this mission because of stories like yours. So as one of the largest housing authorities in the nation and largest owner of rental housing in the city of Chicago, about 1 in every 22 Chicagoans receives support from us through the Chicago Housing Authority. And so addressing homelessness really becomes a partnership. It's an ongoing challenge in Chicago and cities across the country, but together with partners, and not in the city, as well as the nonprofit service providers and the continuum of care in All Chicago, we participate, the Housing Authority participates in a whole of government approach that helps folks who are experiencing homelessness or at risk of it or experiencing domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. All of these issues that may lead to the reason that they do not have homes. And as an example, the way that we participate is to provide that housing, the funding for the housing stability. Once we have helped get them off the street, then finding that house, we have to help pay for that house as well. And so we were very pleased to be awarded by HUD 1,165 emergency housing vouchers, one of the largest allocations in the country, and that was made possible through the American Rescue Plan. And so with the continuum of care, we are proud to say that we have leased almost all of those. And so folks are in homes. So these emergency housing vouchers are in addition to the almost 5,000 vouchers that we use to support other groups, very specifically veterans, former foster care youth, through a variety of programs. And so CHA, with the City of Chicago and the continuum of care, all play a role in this whole of government approach. And we all have our roles, and we all try to work there to stretch those resources. And so that's why I am glad to be here. I am truly glad to be here and thank you for all the support that HUD provides in those efforts. Thank you for joining us. And with the right resources and these types of investments and the commitment to everyone's peace and dignity, we can meet this challenge of housing in this day.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, Scott. Members of the media, one question per reporter on the topic, and we'll kick it off with Lizzie from the Tribune.
Can you speak a bit to why Chicago specifically is receiving the largest grant?
Two reasons. One is Chicago wrote an amazing proposal, by far one of the very best we've ever seen, to express the need that exists here. So, of course, because it is the largest, that's the reason I'm here, but also because, we tend to focus a lot of our attention on the coast. I'm from the heartland. And we have problems as well. And so knowing the work that has already been done by the administration, the city has been so very active, the leadership of the mayor, the leadership of this team that you see here, it was a perfect place to come. And it's only an hour flight, by the way.
Alyssa, to begin.
Yeah, Mayor, can you just elaborate a little bit more? I mean, what does this mean to you to get such a large amount from Secretary Marcia and be able to continue this effort to address homelessness here?
Well, what I'll say is I think it is going to immediately translate to helping us bring more people into housing and supportive services. That's really what it's about. I meant what I said. We're experiencing this normal Chicago winter right now. I go by and I see the encampments. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. No one should be on the streets anywhere in our country. And so this will enable us to really deepen the work that we're doing with our partners, will help us make sure that we're reaching those folks. We had some very, very insightful things from the folks with lived experience today that we're going to be able to put into concrete action on top of the investments that we've made, on top of the monies that have come to us from the state. As you heard, this challenge that we face, that cities all over the country face, is not a challenge that can be met by one single entity, by one single government actor. We all have to see God's children living on the street. We all have to understand the people that are living in unstable housing positions. And again, there's a lot of factors, so it's not snap your fingers and solve the problem. You heard it from me before, right? It could be financial. It could be mental health. It could be substance abuse. It could be victimization from human trafficking and other issues, or some combination of all of the above. So it means that we have to be that village, coming together, rolling up our sleeves, and working together. So this, today, is a blessing, but it's a blessing for the people that need it most. And we are going to make sure, in partnership with our delegate agencies that we work with every single day in, day out, sun or shine, or rain, we are going to continue the deep work that we have done, because it means that we have to have a multi-tier strategy, and this will accelerate the work that we are already doing. So I am unbelievably grateful to Madam Secretary and her team at HUD, recognizing that this is a challenge that we must meet. I certainly appreciate the compliment about the team and the work that they put together to make sure that we had an outstanding application. These are all competitive dollars. That's right. Competitive dollars. This is not a handout. We had to work for it and earn it. But we earned it because of the work that we were already doing and the heart of the people here in our city.
Lauren, CBS.
Okay, on topic,
Yeah.
there was talk of bringing Michelle on the recent homeless population count. Are there any preliminary results from that? What is the state of homelessness in Chicago in January 2023?
The numbers won't be out until the summer, so we don't have numbers just yet. We're working with the researcher at the University of Illinois. And then just the state of homelessness, as I said, our goal is really about focusing on reducing the unsheltered population, expediting people getting into housing, and working with partners expeditiously to create new and innovative programs.
And that's Commissioner Brandy Kanazi from the Department of Family and Support Services, who leads the point-in-time count.
I can give you some overall numbers. With the 2022 point-in-time count, there are more than about 520,000 people who sleep on our streets at any point in time. 520,000. About 230,000 of them are unsheltered. So what we have seen over the last few years is that as sheltered homelessness goes down, unsheltered homelessness goes up. And that's why we know that this is the right thing that we're doing today, to make sure that we direct resources to the unsheltered population. If you look across the board, we know that veteran homeless has gone down because we have put them into homes. We know that families with children gone down, youth down. But when you start to think about the results of things like the pandemic, of the fact that most people who are renting have had their rents raised at least $250 over the last year, who are already struggling, the numbers of people who spend 50% of their money on housing, the numbers of unsheltered is going up. And a lot of those people are people you wouldn't even imagine, people that look like me, my age, who can't afford to live on Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid, who barely get by. So they can't afford to live in these environments anymore. A city like Chicago, a city like New York, Los Angeles, etc., because the rents are so incredibly high. So it is pushing people to the streets. So I know their numbers are going to probably show what I've just said to you, because that's what we've been seeing over the last few years.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Mayor. Let's wrap, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you all.
Get one picture.